mean, they look decent. They look decent. Same thing like everybody else said. The defense, look like they need to. They got some adjustments to make, but offense look good. Um, Nothing. I don't know. Nothing surprising.
Right, right. It's like I kind of said there's not a whole lot to talk about with this game, really. I mean, it was Bethune-Cookman. I mean, all we can kind of do, like I said, is look forward. But how's your optimism moving forward after watching it?
Mm, I was watching a couple other games. I saw some of the A&M game. I mean, I don't know. Not a lot of the teams that are on our schedule are looking that great yet. But then again, it's week one, so you know, nobody's looking that impressive. So I guess we got to play a couple more weeks before we could get a good gauge. You know,
Right, right. I would agree.
I
Let's say
noticed like what I wanted to say was like this: our quarterback situation. It kind of reminds me of what USC had back in the early 2000s. If you
Oh,
remember when they
oh yeah,
had Palmer,
from
when they had Palmer and Leinart back to back,
yeah, yeah.
it's almost the same situation we got right now.
yeah. I think that's probably the biggest positive takeaway that I've had from any of it was our quarterback play was superb. I mean, even against a team like Bethune-Cookman, um, it doesn't matter. I mean, every pass was right on the money. Everything looked clean, and he looked relaxed. Especially Tyler Van Dyke, he looked so relaxed in the pocket, and just it looked good.
Yeah. So none of our injuries are we got nothing serious, right?
No.
Okay.
No, as far as I know, it's nothing that a couple Advil won't fix. So I think we're gonna be all right.
And they were
And
holding
and I
out
mean,
night out of precaution.
What was
well,
that again?
they were holding out
I said,
night, and I don't think Cheney is 100% ready to go yet.
yeah, I know Cheney's probably not gonna be ready till they say ACC play,
Well, he
something like
might
that.
make Texas A&M from what they've said. I mean, well, if we see him next week, then he'll play in Texas A&M. If we don't see him next week, I don't think we'll see him until after the Texas A&M game.
Yeah, that would be kind of early if he plays next week because supposedly he said he was gonna be out for like a month, and that was just like a week and a half ago.
Well, he had
Right.
already
So
been out for 2 weeks at that point.
Okay, well, we'll see.
yeah, I'd like to see him back for the A&M game, but
I
there.
want. He's fragile, man. You don't want to rush him back. I'd rather see him like when he's like for real ready. Like if it's ACC, wait for ACC. Like you know what I mean?
Right,
Well,
right.
especially after what we saw last year with Derek King, and he wasn't ready to go.
Exactly. You don't want to lose him for the whole season.
Right. Because I think Cheney may be the best running back in that room.
Yeah, I think all around he probably is.
And now, who was the guy they put in? I guess probably around the third, fourth quarter. We brought in probably like a second, third string running back. He actually I can't think of his name, but he actually looked
Auburn.
really good too.
You mean the UAB back we just brought in?
Yeah,
I
he's
think
only been there for a week.
yeah, he looked pretty impressive. Yeah, that was the one that a lot of people were speculating that he was just coming into to be on the practice team, stuff like that. So I was glad to see him get put in, but he looked quite impressive as well. So
I don't know. I
we
think all the backs. I mean, because the line was making. I mean, the line was making them holes. Like all the backs look good, even down to like the walk-ons.
right. It is nice to actually see some depth. We haven't had that in a while either. So that's nice to
Well,
see.
it's nice to see good offensive line play because even in
Yeah.
years past, they would give up, sacks and a lot of pressures, even against these lower tier teams. But they didn't today. So if that's one position group that you can probably say, or at least in my opinion, would look like the most improved, it would have to be the offensive line.
Oh, what about Campbell's injuries? That's what since you mentioned offensive line, what's update with him?
They said during the game that they were taping up both of his ankles, and he went back in.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, he just rolled his ankle, I think.
Okay. Yeah, because that line, to me, that's the highlight of the game, that the offensive line.
Right. I mean, we've had problems out of it since Brad Kaya was the quarterback, getting his brain scrambled.
Now, one thing I did notice, it did look like, in comparison to last year, our line, they looked bigger. It seems like that strength and conditioning guy they brought in, what's his name, Slim, the mustache guy.
Aaron Fell, the most impressive mustache in college football.
Right. He does look like he's packed on some pounds onto those guys. They did look bigger. Which
and from everything that came out of camp, they're all stronger, which is something Tolbert Baines said in an interview last year, I think with Streeter, and I completely agreed with that. The team, Miami in general, had not looked as strong as they used to going back to the early 2000s, and that's something obviously now we have our answer that they are most definitely remedying.
Hey, JP, do you have your YouTube turned on as well? We're getting a little bit of echo coming back from you. Do you have your volume on your?
I'm on my phone. I got you on speaker. Let me take it off a speaker. It's probably
okay. That's probably what it is. I'm hearing Slim twice, and that's rough to do.
It's throwing me off too.
Let me try.
Yeah, it's probably the speakerphone.
So we go to settings. Let me see. Audio.
I agree with that comment that you have highlighted, that QB contain needs to be addressed. It does to a point, but I mean, if you go back and look, those QBs for the whole game only amassed about 30 yards.
Did that fix it?
Yeah, you're good now. Thanks, man.
Okay.
Those QBs only amassed 30 yards, and that's something else I'll point to, that even elite defenses, these slippery quarterbacks give them trouble too. So that's not something, at least me personally, that I'm gonna put a whole lot of emphasis on. I mean, I am to a point that that's the game today. You have to deal with these dual threat quarterbacks, but I mean, if you're able to hold them to only 30 yards, I'm not going to ride them too hard on that.
Right. I would agree with you too. I mean, and especially it seemed as though we were playing, slightly conservative at those moments when he was getting those, those runs. So there's not a lot, it's going to happen. I don't care what kind of team you play, but if everybody's backed up and you're sitting back waiting on a pass and the quarterback runs for 15 yards, 10 yards, 2 or 3 times in a game, you can't really get too hard on them.
I think the defense is going to figure it out. I think this first game, you see they miss a few assignments. They, a little miscommunication. Like I think they'll figure it out.
I absolutely agree, and that's why I started off this show, saying this is going to be the sloppiest game we see all year, and it's going to do nothing but get better from here.
Fingers crossed, Slim. Fingers crossed.
I was going to say that one thing, though, the D-line, I mean, based off of what we was hearing in camp, like, I was a little disappointed in the D-line. I thought they would be they'd be more dominant, similar to how the O-line was dominant.
Well, much like Traveling Fools pointed out a second ago, we were talking about how conservative the game plan was for the offense, but it was for the defense too. And I mean, they were still getting quarterback pressure every other snap.
Yeah, I'm not saying they weren't. I was just.
Yeah, I don't think they were really pinning their ears back and trying to get after them, is what I'm saying. I think just the overall game plan, both offense and defense, for this game was conservative, because this is a game where you obviously can get away with it and still win comfortably.
Right, and when you're playing, an opponent like Bethune-Cookman, I mean, you have to start looking at it, but by the time you're coming out there in the third quarter, And I mean, you don't want to just kill their quarterback every play. You know what I mean? I mean, you're going to start playing more conservative and backing up a little bit. And you don't want to get your own players hurt as well. Trying to, I mean, we beat them 70-13. Good Lord. And anybody, you know, you're not going to go out there and risk getting your players hurt to beat them 70-6. It doesn't really matter.
And then Edward Alexander's comment, I'll agree and disagree with it, because I think Flag definitely made some mistakes, but he also looked much improved over last year. And honestly, the linebacking core in general, and maybe I'm being a little easier on them than I should be because of how bad linebacker play was last year. I mean, they're much improved over what they were last year. But they obviously still do have some things to clean up. I'm not going to say that they don't.
Yeah, and for a game one, you know, at least, you know, like you said, they're going to get back there and they're going to start trying to correct those problems. They're not going to let them. The coach, let's let the coaches do their job and look at it next week. Now, if this is a problem that continues on and doesn't get corrected, we do have big problems, because a team like Texas A&M is going to eat us alive if we're playing like that.